The chandeliers were dripping light like honey, slow and golden, catching on every crystal glass and sequin in that ballroom. I stood near the grand staircase in my simple navy dress, the one I wear to evening service when the choir sings Take My Hand. Precious Lord, watching my daughter-in-law Tasha Rose work the room like she'd been born to it. She had on a champagne-colored gown that probably cost more than my car, long braids swept up with gold thread running through them, diamonds flashing at her throat. Every time she laughed, it floated over the string quartet like she'd rehearsed it. "So glad y'all could make it to our home," she kept saying, drawing out that our like it was set in stone. Our home. I felt the words land on me wrong every time, but I just smiled and nodded like a good mother-in-law does. The ballroom smelled like money, fresh orchids flown in from somewhere, expensive perfume. That new paint smell from the renovations she kept bragging about. Marble floors so polished you could see your future in them. Crown molding thick enough to hide secrets. I raised 4 children in a 3-bedroom brick house with linoleum floors and 1 bathroom that worked when it felt like it. This place? This was supposed to be the reward for all those years of making do. Little Ania tugged at my hand. She had on the yellow dress I made her, beads clicking in her braids every time she moved. "Grandma, why Miss Tasha keeps saying this, her house? Daddy said it was Big Daddy's house." Out of the mouth of babes. I squeezed her fingers soft. "Sometimes grown folks get confused. Baby, hush now and eat your shrimp." I was fixing to find me a corner and sit. My feet were already talking back to me in these church shoes, when the double doors at the top of the staircase opened wide. The music didn't stop, but the talking did. You could almost hear the air change. Mr. Clarence Thompson from the probate office walked in, tall and thin as a switch, brown envelope in his hand like he was about to pass the collection plate. Behind him came Deputy Harris, Sister Harris's boy from Mount Moriah Baptist, still wearing his uniform. Every eye in that room turned. Tasha's smile froze halfway up her face. She set her champagne flute on a passing tray. "Can I help y'all?" she asked, voice still sweet, but I heard the edge underneath it. Mr. Clarence never even looked at her. He walked straight down the marble steps, shoes clicking loud in the quiet, and stopped right in front of me. "Evening, Miss Ora Mae." He tipped his head, respectful like always. I hate to interrupt a celebration, but this can't wait no longer. He held out the envelope, thick, official, my name typed on the front in that old courthouse font. My fingers knew what it was before I even touched it. I felt Anaya press closer to my leg, close on my hands. Camera catches the tremble as I take that envelope. The paper was heavy, like it was carrying 12 years of silence. I opened it slow, pulled out the folded document, and there it was in my late husband Lennett's handwriting, the one he used when he was dead serious. This deed to the property at 412 Magnolia Lane, including all buildings and land, is to remain solely in the name of my wife, Ora Mae Jefferson, for as long as she draws breath. Upon her passing, the house and land are to be placed in trust for the education of our granddaughter, Ania Jefferson. No sale, no transfer, no exceptions. Signed this 14th day of March, 2013. Notarized, witnessed, filed the week before Leonard dropped dead in the barbershop chair. The ballroom went so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. I looked up. Every face turned toward me. Some shocked, some already knowing, some trying to do the math in their heads. Tasha's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on that Italian marble she loved posting about. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Welcome to Tales of Ora Mae. I'm Ora Mae Jefferson, and I tell the stories folks carry in their chests like bricks. Stories about family, about betrayal, about getting back up when life knocks you flat. Tonight, Lord, Tonight is one of the hardest ones I ever had to tell. Y'all grab you some tea. Get comfortable, because this one's gonna take us a minute. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments so I know I ain't talking to myself. Now, I know what some of y'all thinking, Ora Mae, why you ain't say nothing before tonight. Why you let her throw this big gala in a house that ain't never been hers. Baby, sometimes you gotta let folks dig their own grave with the shovel they stole from you. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the night Leonard passed. It was a Thursday. I remember because Joylene had just brought me a lemon pound cake still warm from the oven. Leonard was at the barber shop getting lined up for Sunday. He always said a man gotta look right when he go to meet the Lord, even if it's just for service. Phone rang. I knew before I answered. You feel it in your spirit when your world tilts. By the time I got to the shop, they had him covered with a sheet. Heart attack? They said. Dropped, just like that. 58 years old. We buried him on a Tuesday under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. That night, after everybody went home and the house got quiet, Marcus, my eldest, the one who always carried the weight of being the first, sat at my kitchen table and cried like a baby. Mama, I got y'all. Whatever y'all need. This house, the land, everything Daddy built, it's ours now. I'ma take care of it. I believed him. Lord knows I did. 12 years. Marcus done good on paper. Big job downtown, nice suits. That pretty young wife who went from community college to influencer overnight. Tasha Rose, with her vision boards and her glow-up posts. They moved into the big house after Leonard passed. Said it made sense. More room for when the baby came. Closer to Marcus's job, I moved into the smaller house out back, the one Leonard built for his mama. I didn't mind. I like my quiet. But little by little, things started changing. First it was new paint, then marble countertops, then that big addition with the columns out front like somebody was trying to build. Tara from Gone with the Wind in the middle of Georgia. Every time I asked where the money coming from, Tasha would laugh and say, investors love us. Miss Ora Mae? We flipping houses now. This our forever home. Forever home? Them words started tasting funny in my mouth. What would you do if your child started acting like your memories didn't belong to you no more? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had somebody try to erase your name from your own story? I ignored the feeling at first. You do that when it's family. You swallow it down with the sweet tea and keep smiling. But then Aunt Shine started leaving me voicemails talking in code. Ora Mae, you need to check them papers down at the courthouse. Something ain't right. I'd call her back, and she'd act like she ain't said nothing. Y'all know Aunt Shine. 65 going on Judgment Day. Church had tilted just enough to let you know she already prayed about you and the prayer wasn't kind. She don't speak unless the Lord done already signed off on it. So when she started talking about deeds and codicils and things hidden in plain sight, I finally listened. 3 weeks ago I put on my good wig, the one that don't move when the wind blow, and I drove myself downtown to the probate office. Mr. Clarence knows me from childhood. His mama and my mama used to roll hair in the same kitchen. He pulled the file himself. When he opened it, his face went soft with sorry. Miss Ora Mae, somebody done filed a new deed 6 years ago. Transferred the property to Marcus Jerome Jefferson and Tasha Rose Jefferson as joint tenants. I stared at the paper like it was written in tongues. That's my signature at the bottom, I whispered. Mr. Clarence shook his head slow. Ain't your signature, baby. I'd know your handwriting anywhere. That's when the room started spinning. I left there with copies burning a hole in my purse and a fire in my chest. I ain't felt since the day they lowered Leonard in the ground. Tonight was the gala Taisha been planning for months, a celebration of new beginnings. She called it. Posted invitations on Instagram with gold foil and everything. Half of Atlanta's black bourgeoisie was here. Doctors, lawyers, that rapper who bought his mama a Bentley, 2 city council members, and Sister Harris from church who still think Taisha sweet as pie. I almost didn't come. Almost sat on my porch with Mr. Harmon. He'd been bringing me flowers every Sunday after service. Quiet as he is, but something said go. Put on your navy dress. Take the envelope. Let the truth do what it gotta do. So here I stand, deed in my hand. Whole room waiting to see what this old woman gon' do next. Taisha finally found her voice. She walked toward me slow, heels clicking like gunshots. "Miss Ora Mae," she said, smile tight as a drum. "I'm sure there's some kind of misunderstanding. That house has been in Marcus's name for years. We have paperwork." I looked at her, really looked. Pretty as she is, educated, all that shine. She still ain't learned you can't build your dream on somebody else's foundation and not expect it to crack. "Baby," I said soft enough only she could hear it first. "The only misunderstanding is you thinking Leonard Jefferson would ever leave his home to anybody but the woman he built it for." Then I turned to the room, held that deed up high so the chandelier light caught every word. "This here," I said, voice carrying like it does when I'm in the mother's boardroom, "is the last will and testament of Leonard Jerome Jefferson. Signed, witnessed, notarized, and it says clear as day, this house, this land, everything y'all standing on, belongs to me till I'm called home. And after that, it goes into trust for my grandbaby Anya's education. Not for galas, not for marble floors, not for nobody to play like they Scarlett O'Hara. You could have heard a pin drop on that marble." Marcus came pushing through the crowd then, suit jacket open, tie loose, face gray like somebody sucked the blood right out of him. "Mama," he started, hands up like he was calming a horse. "Let's talk about this private." "No, son?" I cut him off, gentle but firm. "Private done got us here. Tonight we gon' do this in front of God and everybody who came to celebrate a lie." Taisha's eyes filled up, pretty tears, the kind that don't mess up mascara. I laughed then. Couldn't help it. The kind of laugh that come from way down deep when you realize how tired you are of pretending. "Embarrassing," I said. "Baby girl, the only thing embarrassing is you throwing a party in a house you've been stealing piece by piece for 6 years." That's when Aunt Shine stepped out from behind the dessert table. Church hat tilted, arms crossed, looking like the Old Testament just walked in wearing purple. "That's right," she said loud and clear. "And I've been knowing the whole time." The room exploded, then gasps, whispers, phones coming out slow like folks afraid to miss it. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let me take you back to how my own child and his wife decided my name wasn't worth keeping on my own deed. I left y'all standing in that ballroom with the deed in my hand and Taisha's champagne bleeding into that expensive marble. But before I tell you what happened when the sheriff walked in, let me take you back. Way back. Because none of this started at the gala. It started the day Leonard took his last breath. Leonard Jefferson wasn't a loud man. He didn't need to be. 6'3", quiet smile, hands that could fix anything from a broken carburetor to a broken heart. He built that big house brick by brick on weekends and holidays while working 60 hours at the plant. Every check he brought home, half went to the mortgage, half went to us kids' future. He used to say, "Baby, this house gon' be yours free and clear one day. Ain't nobody gon' ever put you out your own home." When he passed in 2013, the house was paid off. Clear title. I had the pink slip in a fireproof box under my bed like it was the deed to heaven itself. Marcus was 31 then. Tall like his daddy, handsome, already climbing at the bank. He sat at my kitchen table the night after the repast. Table still covered in leftover fried chicken and pound cake, and made me a promise. "Mama, you ain't never gotta worry about nothing again. I'm moving in the big house. I'll take care of the taxes, the upkeep, everything. You just rest." I should have caught the way he said "I'm moving in" instead of "Can we help you stay comfortable?" But grief makes you deaf. For the first 2 years, it was fine. Marcus and his first wife, Nicole, stayed in the East Wing. They paid the light bill, cut the grass, fixed the roof when it leaked. I stayed in the little house out back. 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, the one Leonard's mama raised him in. I could see the big house from my kitchen window, and that was comfort enough. Then Marcus and Nicole split. Messy. She moved to Charlotte with the boys. Marcus started drinking more than church folk approve of. Then came the late nights. Then the business trips that left him looking hollow-eyed on Sunday morning. That's when Tasha Rose came into the picture. She was 25, fresh out of Georgia State with a marketing degree and a 5-year plan written in glitter pen. Long braids, perfect edges, smile that made preachers forget their sermons. Marcus met her at some networking event downtown. 3 months later, he brought her to Sunday dinner wearing a ring he ain't asked my blessing for. "Mama, this is the one," he said, grinning like he'd won the lottery. I looked at Taisha, pretty as a picture. Yes, but her eyes kept drifting around my little kitchen like she was calculating square footage. 2 months after the wedding, they told me they were expecting Ania. I was so happy I cried into the collards. Marcus said, "We need more space for the baby, Mama. The big house got all them extra rooms going to waste." I didn't fight it. Grandbabies make you soft. So I packed up a few more things, moved the rest of my clothes to the little house, and handed over the keys. Told myself it was temporary. Told myself blood take care of blood. Y'all ever tell yourself a lie so many times it started feeling like memory? The changes started small. First, it was paint. "Mama, beige is outdated. We go in with greige." Then the kitchen, ripped out my oak cabinets for white shaker ones and that island big as a Buick. Quartz countertops, stainless steel, everything. Tasha posted every stage on Instagram, turning my mother-in-law's house into our dream home. #blessed. My mother-in-law's house. Not Leonard's house. Not the family house. Hers. I let it slide. Correcting young folk in public ain't my ministry. Then came the addition. 2-story with columns out front like the Georgia O'Hara's permits. Contractors. Dust for 18 months. I'd sit on my porch watching strange men tromp through the yard Leonard used to mow himself. And something in my spirit kept whispering, "Check on it, Ora Mae." But Marcus would come over every Sunday after church with Anya on his hip and a wandlo with a few $100s for the light bill. "Mama," and I'd quiet that voice. "What would you have done? When your child look you in your eye and swear are they handling everything for the family? Would you have gone digging then? Or would you have kept the peace?" Drop a hand clap in the comments if you ever ignored that feeling in your gut because it was blood doing the hurting. By the time Ania was 4, the house didn't look like mine no more. They'd knocked out walls, added a theater room, put in one of them wine fridges that cost more than my first car. Tasha started calling it the estate. Started having brunches for her influencer friends. Women with ring lights and Birkins, talking about monetizing your legacy. My legacy. Then the mail started going to a post office box I ain't set up. Then the tax bills stopped coming to me. Then Aunt Shine called me one Tuesday talking about, "Sister, you better get down to the courthouse before they get bold enough to change the locks with you still breathing." I laughed it off at first. Marcus wouldn't do me like that. He's my child. I changed his diapers, prayed over him when he had asthma, sat up all night when he had fever. Okay, my child wouldn't steal from me. But that night I couldn't sleep. I got up at 3 a.m., put on my housecoat, and walked through the dark to the big house. Used my key, the one they ain't never asked for back. The foyer light was on motion sensor now. Came on bright as Judgment Day when I stepped in. Place smelled like whatever expensive candle Tasha was selling that month. I stood there in my slippers looking at walls that used to have family pictures but now had abstract art in gold frames. My daddy's old clock, the one that don't work but we kept because it was his, was gone. In its place was some modern thing with no numbers. I went upstairs quiet. Marcus and Tasha's bedroom door was cracked. I heard her on the phone, voice low. Yes, the deed's been transferred. My name's on everything now. Once we get the gala photos, the brand deals are locked. Investors love a good legacy story. I stood outside that door with my heart beating so loud I thought it would wake them. Legacy story. I left out the same way I came. Sat on my porch till the sun came up. Called Mr. Harmon, he still leaves his phone on for me, and told him I needed a ride downtown first thing Monday. That Monday changed everything. Mr. Clarence met me in the back room at the courthouse so nobody would see me crying. He pulled the file himself. There it was, quitclaim deed dated 6 years ago. My signature at the bottom, perfect loops, just like I write it. Except I ain't never seen that paper in my life. And right beside my forged name was Marcus Jerome Jefferson, signing as witness. My own child. Mr. Clarence closed the file, gentle. Ora Mae, you want me to call the sheriff now? Or you want to handle this your way? I told him I needed time. Needed to look my son in his eyes first. But Marcus avoided me for 3 straight weeks. Said he was slammed at work. Tasha blocked my number after I asked too many questions about the tax bill. Sent Ania over with Joylene so I could still see my grandbaby, but they stopped coming in the big house when I was there. That hurt worse than the forgery. Have you ever had your child look you dead in your face and lie so smooth you almost believed it yourself? Tell me I ain't the only one. Drop a broken heart if this part hit in close to home. The gala invitation came in the mail on thick cream cardstock with gold lettering, celebrating new beginnings at the Jefferson estate. Estate, like we the Kennedys. I sat at my kitchen table holding that invitation and felt something shift inside me. The quiet woman who always made room, who always understood, who always forgave first, she clocked out. I called Mr. Clarence back. I'm ready, I told him. Bring everything to the gala. I want every lie exposed under them chandeliers she loves so much. And that's how I ended up standing in the ballroom with 12 years of grief in one hand and the truth in the other. But y'all, when Aunt Shine stepped forward with that second envelope, the one nobody knew existed, that's when the real floor dropped out. I thought the forged deed was the worst of it. I was so wrong, because what Leonard wrote in that hospital bed 3 days before he died, what he made Aunt Shine promise to keep hidden until the time was right, that changed everything we thought we knew about who this house was really for. And that's what made Tasha run out them doors screaming. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Aunt Shine didn't just step forward. She claimed that ballroom like she was about to take the pulpit on Resurrection Sunday. Y'all should have seen her. 65 years old, salt and pepper hair pressed and curled under a purple crown hat with a feather that could sign its own name. Floral dress, hugging curves she earned from decades of Sunday dinners. One hand on her hip, the other holding a manila envelope bigger than the one I had. The string quartet done stopped playing 5 minutes ago, but when Aunt Shine opened her mouth, the silence got louder. Before anybody start lying louder than they already been, she said, voice ringing off them chandeliers. Let me tell the rest of the story, Leonard, Made me swear on my mama's Bible to keep quiet about until the time was right. Tasha's face went from champagne to ash. Marcus looked like he was fixing to faint in his custom Tom Ford. I felt Annia's little hand slip into mine, squeezing tight. "Grandma, is Aunt Shine finna whoop somebody?" she whispered. I squeezed back. "Not with hands, baby." Aunt Shine walked straight to me, slow and deliberate, heels clicking like a countdown. She handed me that second envelope. "This here," she said to the room, "is the codicil to Leonard Jefferson's last will and testament, written 3 days before he passed, in his hospital bed at Emory Midtown, when the doctor's done told him he wasn't going home. He called me in private, made me promise." Close on my fingers as I opened this envelope too. Paper inside was thinner, hospital stationery. Leonard's handwriting shakier than the first deed, but still him. I'd know it anywhere. I read it out loud so everybody could hear. "To my sister-in-law Ora, may Jefferson shine. If you read in this, I'm gone. I ain't scared to go, but I'm scared for my wife. Marcus my firstborn, and I love him, but he been gambling heavy again. Poker rooms downtown, them boats in Alabama, online, Lord forgive me. I paid off 3 bookies already so they wouldn't break his legs. I can't leave my house to him. Not yet. He'll lose it in a card game or sign it over to some fast-tailed girl who see dollar signs instead of family. So I'm leaving the house and land to my wife Ora Mae for as long as she lives. When she'll go home to glory, it go into a trust for my granddaughter Annia's education, college, books, whatever she'll need. Marcus get nothing from the property till he cleaned 10 years. No sale, no mortgage, no transfer. Shine, you hold this codicil. Don't file it unless they try to take it from her. Protect my wife like I can't no more. Love. Leonard J. The room didn't gasp this time. It sighed, like the whole house itself, just exhaled 12 years of held breath. I looked at Marcus. My boy. My firstborn. The one I carried 13 hours in labor. He was crying, but it wasn't pretty tears. It was ugly. Nose running, shoulders shaking, looking every bit the broken man his daddy tried to save him from becoming. Tasha found her voice first. "This some old paper from a sick man," she shouted, pointing with a shaking finger. "That codicil ain't never been probated. The deed we filed is legal." Mr. Clarence cleared his throat. "Ma'am, a codicil supersedes any later transfer if it can be proven the transfer was done under fraud or duress. And seeing as how Miss Ora Mae's signature was forged," he let that hang. That's when Joylene, my middle baby, the one who never said much, walked in from the side door, pushing Caleb in front of her. Caleb had his dreads pulled back, eyes red like he ain't slept in days. Joylene looked straight at Marcus. "Tell Mama the truth, big brother. All of it. Now?" Marcus wiped his face with both hands. When he dropped them, he looked 10 years older. "Mama!" His voice cracked. "I lost everything." The job laid me off 2 years after Daddy died. I ain't told nobody. Started gambling to try and get it back. Owed $87,000 to some men would have killed me. Tasha said she had a plan. Said we transferred the deed, take out a mortgage, pay them off, and nobody ever know. Tasha spun on him. "Don't you put this all on me? You, the one came home with broken ribs that night?" Marcus kept talking like he ain't even hear her. "We forged your signature, Mama. I watched her practice it for weeks. Told myself it was just temporary. Told myself we'd pay it back before you ever knew." I felt the tears then. Hot ones. The kind that don't ask permission. "You watched her practice my name," I said soft. "My name that I taught you how to spell in kindergarten. And you let her? Marcus dropped to his knees right there on that marble. Grown man in a $5,000 suit, on his knees in front of half of Atlanta. I'm sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry. Anaya let go of my hand and walked over to her daddy. She just stood there looking at him, little face confused and old all at once. Daddy, why you make Grandma cry? That broke him clean in two. Tasha wasn't done. She grabbed her clutch, eyes wild. This is ridiculous. I built this brand. I turned this old house into something people want to see. Investors are coming next week. Aunt Chin cut her off with one raised eyebrow. Child, the only thing you built was a house of cards on a foundation that was never yours. That's when Mr. Harmon walked in. Quiet as always, salt and pepper beard trimmed neat, wearing the same brown flannel he wear when he fixed my porch step. He had a small bouquet of grocery store roses wrapped in tissue paper. Nothing fancy, but they were for me. He didn't say nothing to nobody else. Just walked straight to me, took the codicil gentle from my shaking hands, and laid the roses in them instead. I was outside waiting like you asked, he said low, for my ears only. You ready to go home now, Ora Mae? Home. Not the big house shining behind me. Home. My little 3-bedroom with the creaky floors and the pictures of Leonard still on the walls. I looked around that ballroom one last time. At the people who came to celebrate a lie. At my son on his knees. At my granddaughter trying to understand why the grown-ups broke everything. And I felt something leave me. Not anger. Not even hurt no more. Just tired, bone. But before I could answer Mr. Harmon, Deputy Harris stepped forward with papers of his own. Ora Mae Jefferson, he said gentle. I got an eviction notice here if you want it served tonight. 30 days. They'll be out by Christmas. The room went dead still again. All I had to do was nod, and my own child and his wife would be on the street in 30 days. Y'all, in that moment, I understood exactly why Leonard made Aunt Shine wait. Because justice and mercy live in the same house. And sometimes you gotta choose which one gone sit at the head of the table. What would you have done? Sign the papers right then and there. Or give family one more chance? Tell me honest in the comments. I really want to know. Because what I decided next, even I didn't see coming. Deputy Harris stood there with that eviction notice folded neat in his hand, waiting on me like the whole room wasn't holding its breath. 30 days. That's all it would take to put my son, his wife, and my grandbaby out on the street by Christmas. I looked at Marcus on his knees, suit pants ruined from the marble, tears and snot mixing together. I looked at Tasha, gown wrinkled now, braids coming loose, mascara finally giving up, standing by the dessert table like she was getting ready to bolt. And I looked at little Anya, clutching her doll, yellow dress rumpled, eyes big as saucers going back and forth between her daddy crying and her mama, looking like she'd been slapped by God himself. Mr. Harmon's hand settled gentle on my lower back, warm, steady, reminding me I wasn't standing there alone. I took one step forward, then another, until I was close enough to Marcus to smell the bourbon on his breath he'd been sipping to keep his nerves down all night. Stand up, I said quiet. He looked up at me like a child who dropped the last glass in the house. Mama? I said stand up. Jeffersons don't kneel on marble, they stole. He got up slow, legs shaking. Tasha opened her mouth, probably to say something smart, but Aunt Shine gave her one look, and she shut it fast. I turned to the room. Most folks had their phones away now. The ones who stayed were family, real family, church family, people who knew what it meant to watch a bloodline bleed in public. Y'all been real kind to come tonight? I said, voice carrying without yelling. Some of y'all drove hours. Some brought gifts. I appreciate every one of you. But this here celebration is over. A few amens floated up from the back where the elders sat. I turned back to Marcus and Tasha. This house gone, stay in my name. That part ain't up for discussion. Leonard wrote it plain, and the law finally on my side for once. Marcus nodded like a bobblehead. Taisia's jaw tightened. But, I said, and the word hung heavy, I ain't signing no eviction notice tonight. Gasps, whispers. Deputy Harris raised an eyebrow, but didn't move. Tasha's head snapped up. What? I said I ain't putting my grandbaby out in the cold 3 weeks before Jesus' birthday because her parents forgot who they came from. Marcus started crying again, but quieter this time. I looked straight at Tasha. You got 30 days, not to pack, but to earn back the right to breathe in this house. You've gone move into the mother-in-law suite out back, where I've been staying. You've gone cook, clean, and sit with me every evening while we go through every bank statement, every forged paper, every lie. You've gone look me in my eyes every day and remember whose blood paid for these walls. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. And you? I turned to Marcus. You gone get your tail to Gamblers Anonymous tomorrow morning. I done called Brother Raymond. He's expecting you. You gone give me every password, every account, every key, and you gone work whatever job God sent until every dime y'all took is paid back into Enia's trust, plus interest. Marcus dropped his head. Yes, ma'am. I looked at Enia. She was staring at her daddy like he was a stranger. And you, baby girl, I said softer, opening my arms. She ran to me and buried her face in my stomach. You gon' stay with me in the big house till your mama and daddy remember how to act. We gon' make cookies, watch our shows. And you gon' learn that love ain't something you post about, it's something you protect. I felt her little arms tighten around me. Then I looked at the deputy. Brother Harris, you tell the sheriff we handling this Jefferson style? If these children don't do exactly what I said, you can serve them papers on New Year's Eve with my blessing? He smiled slow. Yes, ma'am, Miss Ora Mae? Tasha finally spoke, voice small. And if I say no? The room got real quiet again. I stepped close enough to smell her expensive perfume gone sour with sweat. Then you can walk out that door right now with nothing but the dress on your back and whatever God and child support give you. Because Ania stays with family. And last I checked, you ain't shown yourself to be that. She looked at Marcus. He wouldn't meet her eyes. She looked at the guests, some already judging, some looking sorry, all of them knowing her brand just died tonight. Then she looked at me. And for the first time since she walked into my life with that ring on her finger, Tasha Rose dropped the act. She cried real tears, ugly ones. The kind that come when the mirror finally shows you who you've been all along. I'm sorry, Miss Ora Mae, she whispered. I got lost. I didn't hug her. Not yet. But I didn't turn away either. I just nodded once. That's the first true thing you said in 6 years. We gon' start there. Mr. Harmon handed me my coat, the navy one I came in. I slipped it on, took Enia's hand, and started walking toward the door. Marcus called after me, voice breaking. Mama, thank you. I stopped but didn't turn around. Thank me by being the man your daddy tried to raise. We'll talk tomorrow. As we walked out under them chandeliers, that wasn't never theirs to begin with, Aunt Shine fell in step beside me. You did good, sister, she said quiet. Leonard smiling down right now? I squeezed her arm. I know he is. The night air hit us cool and clean after all that hot mess inside. The stars were out, bright like they'd been waiting on us. Mr. Harmon opened the passenger door of his old Ford pickup. Clean, no frills, paid for twice over. Anya climbed in the back and was asleep before we hit the main road. I looked out the window at the big house, shrinking in the mirror, lights still blazing like it didn't know the party was over. And for the first time in 12 years, I felt it settle back on my shoulders. Not heavy, just right. This is my home. And tomorrow, I'm moving back in. But y'all, the healing? That started on a porch swing 3 months later with the unlikeliest person sipping sweet tea beside me. And that's the part that still makes me cry when I tell it. 3 months later, spring done slipped in soft as forgiveness. The big house looks like itself again. My daddy's clock back on the wall still don't work, but it ticks in my heart. Family pictures back up, oak cabinets back in the kitchen because quartz might be pretty, but it don't hold memories the way wood do. I wake up every morning in the master bedroom Leonard and I picked out the furniture for in 1987. Sun coming through the same lace curtains my mama helped me hang. I make coffee in the old percolator, sit on the porch swing Mr. Harmon fixed, and watch the dew burn off the grass. Some mornings, Ania runs out in her pajamas, braids with the beads clicking, climbs in my lap, and we just rock. No words, just rocking. Healing smells like Folgers and little girl lotion and the gardenias Leonard planted the year Marcus was born. Marcus been going to meetings every single day. Got him a sponsor, Brother Raymond, 72 years old, former numbers runner who found Jesus in a jail cell. They meet at the Waffle House on Moreland at 6 a.m. 2 black men in recovery trading war stories over scattered, smothered, covered hash browns. He got a job at the hardware store on Memorial Drive. Not management. Stocking shelves. Making $12.50 an hour. Comes home with paint on his hands and a different kind of pride in his eyes. Tasha, Lord Tasha. First 30 days, she stayed in the little house like I told her. Cooked every meal. Scrubbed floors on her hands and knees, the same floors she used to pay somebody else to do. Sat with me every evening while we went line by line through the bank statements. She cried so much the first week, I thought she'd dehydrate. One night she looked at me across the kitchen table and said, "Miss Ora Mae, I thought if I made it look perfect on the outside, the inside would catch up. I was ashamed of where I came from. Trailer park in Macon, lights cut off half the month. When Marcus brought me here, I thought this house could fix me." I didn't say nothing for a long time. Just poured her some tea. "Baby," I finally told her, "house don't fix nobody. Only Jesus and hard truth do that." Something broke open in her that night. She started coming to Wednesday night Bible study with me and Aunt Shine. Started volunteering at the church pantry on Saturdays. Deleted half her Instagram. Kept the other half to document the real stuff now. Marcus pushing Anya on the swing. Me teaching her how to make biscuits. The garden we planted together. She's still pretty, but now it's a softer pretty. The kind that comes from the inside out. Mr. Harmon proposed on Easter Sunday. Wasn't nothing fancy. After service, we walked down to the pond behind the church like we've been doing for months. He got down on one knee, bad knee and all, in his Sunday suit, held up a little velvet box with a ring that belonged to his mama. "Ora Mae Jefferson," he said, voice steady as his hands. "I'd waited 61 years for a woman who knows who she is. I don't need another big house or another big love. I just need you on the porch with me when we old and gray. Will you marry me?" I cried so hard my hat went crooked. Said yes before he even got the ring all the way out the box. We getting married in the backyard in June. Just family, fried chicken, Joylene's, red velvet cake, and Caleb playing saxophone under the pecan tree. Ania gone be the flower girl. Marcus walking me down the aisle. Tasha doing the flowers. She got real good at it now. Aunt Sheen already planning her toast. Lord help us all. Sometimes late at night, I sit on the porch with Leonard's old Bible in my lap and I talk to him. Tell him about his son getting clean one day at a time. About his granddaughter learning her numbers on the same porch he taught Marcus. About Tasha calling me Mama now, not Miss Ora Mae, just Mama, and meaning it. And I tell him thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to protect me, even when you was gone. Thank you for trusting me to protect our legacy when it mattered most. The other day Marcus came and sat with me. First time in years he didn't smell like shame. Mama, he said, I used to think the house was the legacy. Turns out the legacy was you. How you loved us even when we didn't deserve it. I just patted his hand. Some lessons you don't teach with words. Y'all, if you take nothing else from my story, take this. Family ain't always blood doing right. Sometimes family is blood doing wrong, and you loving them anyway till they remember how to do right again. The house still mine. Always will be. But now it's ours again too. Because mercy and justice shook hands on my porch one spring evening, and love won. If this story touched you, if it made you cry, or think about your own people, or pick up the phone to call somebody you've been mad at too long, do me a favor. Drop a below if you've ever been betrayed by the ones closest to you. Drop A if you believe people can change. And tell me where you're watching from. I read every single comment, and I pray over y'all like you my own. This channel, Tales of Ora Mae, is where I tell the messy, real stories from my life. The ones that hurt to remember but heal to tell. If you want more, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I got plenty more where this came from. And if you're feeling led, there's a way to support the channel in the description. Every little bit keeps these stories coming. Now I gotta go. Mr. Harmon just pulled up with groceries, and Annie Oz yelling about making peach cobbler. I love y'all. Be kind to each other. And remember, sometimes the deed in your hand ain't the one on paper. Sometimes it's the one written on your heart. See you next time.